What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the first of what I hope to be a consistent every Saturday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Work in Progress After Dark show, Work in Progress After Dark podcast, whatever we want to call it. Saturday nights, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am back from vacation, and we've been sitting on this topic for a while now. We're going to review Demon Slayer Season 3, the Swordsmith Village arc. I am joined by Casey, my lovable co-host.
What is up, yo?
And Jeremiah, my other lovable, pretty much co-host at this point.
Hey, I'm here. I exist and I wear the sexy outfits.
That's right. So, but before we dive into this, what I like to do at the start of any anime-centric podcast, I want to ask everybody, what have they been watching? Let's start with Casey. What have you been watching?
Oh my gosh, you guys pretty much already know I am a huge isekai fan, so I've pretty much been watching almost all the isekais.
Oh yeah.
At this point, I have started binge watching Hell's Paradise. I need to finish that up.
Yes,
nice. I'm gonna finish that when the dub finishes in a couple of weeks.
Yup. Mm-hmm. Same here. Same here.
I will be honest. I do prefer the dub over the sub on that one. So
yeah. I've also read up to the point that I believe that the season ends, so I already know what goes on. It's good. It's an interesting story. I like that one.
They just released the finale, didn't they?
I think the finale launched today, right?
For the sub, yeah.
For the sub, yeah.
So I've been watching those as well as Mashal. Gotta love Mashal here.
Mashal was just announced for season 2, which apparently will come in the winter. So winter or spring of next year. So either January or March or April of next year.
Yes.
It's great though.
And
it is a great anime.
The manga
is amazing.
The manga just ended on chapter 160 something. So I think I'm gonna prioritize reading that soon. And then
so it's not even a long one.
No, it's not.
Oh, that's good. I need a good short one.
There you go. Jeremiah, what have you been watching lately?
Well, I'm about the same with Hell's Paradise and Heavenly Delusion. I wanted to wait until the dub for both finish out.
I'm gonna wait for the dub to finish on that one too, and just binge it.
Yeah, because both of those dubs been fire, and the subs too. But like, I just love it. So the two that have my attention are Kamikatsu right now, which is pretty nice, and the legendary hero is dead.
Okay. All right.
That one is crazy, but it is great. My wife and I got to episode 4, and I think Tabby was just like, I don't know if I'm going to keep going. This is getting kind of weird. It gets a little racy for her, and my whole thing is, this is probably the like Konosuba levels of awesome. Mm-hmm. In terms of just like a weird aloof story about a non-hero, you know? So I've been jumping between those two, and of course what we're here to talk about, finished Demon Slayer. So
nice.
Yeah, what about you, Brent? What have you been doing since getting back besides playing an amazing game?
So I've actually while I was on vacation, this sort of renewed sense of focus sort of came over me, and on my drive back I devised a plan that literally keeps me working to some degree from 7 a.m. in the morning till 11 p.m. at night. Okay, I have hours and times blocked out on my phone. So one of those blockout times, and there's a point that I'm trying to make here. One of those blockout times is in the morning. It's basically like productive time where I'm either playing a video game or watching an anime. And the anime always during this productive time, the anime has to always be something that I haven't watched yet. So no, like rewatching My Hero Academia for the 100th time, no rewatching Black Clover for the 100th time, no rewatching Dr. Stone for 100th time. Don't worry, I have Brent time blocked out too at the end of the day. But so the anime that I started during like this productive time that I have in the morning before I start work, I started watching. I got a cheat skill in another world, and I became unrivaled in the real. No, I got a cheat skill in another world and became unrivaled in the real world. So I've been watching that, and that is really good. Like really good.
Oh.
Have you guys been watching that one?
The cheat skill, yes. We and
Yeah.
again, that one we were catching up, so we personally stopped. That one is good. You
Like,
know,
like if someone wants, like I watched a video that talks about I watched a video that talks about like what it means to actually be like a true isekai, and one of the arguments that they made was that a true isekai, the other world and the real world need to both sort of affect each other, one way or the other. And if there was any isekai that I've watched so far that does that equally, it's I got a cheat skill in another world. Like
oh,
like
absolutely.
I would state, yeah, no, cheat skill in another world would definitely fit that category. I don't know how I feel about that explanation. For
I don't know.
isekai, though.
I don't know how I feel about that either. But like, if someone is going to argue that as a point for what a true isekai is, then there can't be any denying that I got a cheat skill in another world is a true isekai. You know what I mean?
Hmm. See, oh,
I'm with you. I'm with you, Casey. I don't agree with that either. But I'm just saying, like, if I had to go, if I was going off some of the stuff that was within this video, then I would. It's like basically what I'm saying is like I don't think that from any angle there could be any argument that would say that I got a cheat skill in another world is not a good isekai. That's the point that I'm trying to make. If that's what,
yeah, I agree with you. It is definitely a good isekai.
And I guess this would be a topic for another time, but to weigh in, I actually agree with that assertion. And we could talk about it another time, but definitely, I maybe not to the degree of a 50-50 split, you know, but
excuse me,
there has to be something. Can we not agree that there are some isekais out here that don't even? They're the only reason they're isekais is because they said they're reincarnated.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
like
like
Very,
that.
Yeah, no,
Like that
I
time I got
reincarnated
reincarnated as a slime is very much like high fantasy at this point.
Yeah, I don't even consider that an isekai anymore. I know he brings manga into the world, and I know there are other reincarnated people. You know, we know. To me, we know more about the past of other reincarnated people than we do Rimuru themselves.
Right.
So it's like,
Well, then
you know,
I do think that on that is a pretty good hook for the next week episode, right?
It's definitely a good hook for a topic of conversation.
Because I do want to
it.
discuss this, and I feel like you guys are going to be on one side and I'm going to be on the other. So I think it's going to be a good one.
I feel like I'm. Well, the thing is, Casey, I'm neutral about.
You're right in the middle. You're a neutral.
I'm neutral.
Yeah, I will tell you, this is one of the few times I myself am not in the middle. I no. With how much it's at, well, we'll talk about another time.
Yeah, we'll talk about it another time. So let's move into the topic of today's conversation. We had a nice, good 10-minute open. We're going to talk about Demon Slayer Season 3. And to start the show off, we are going to read IGN's 5 out of 10 review for Demon Slayer Season 3.
What?
We're going to react to it as we go, and then we'll state our own opinions. So here we go. Demon Slayer Season 3 review, IGN. Back in the day, we used to call this filler.
That is freaking bullshit. Sorry, already reacting to that.
As a manga, Demon Slayer's greatest accomplishment was telling a simple and entertaining Shonen Jump story with all the tropes you'd expect, like friendship being the ultimate power-up, power scaling, and naming your attacks, but in a compact time frame and within a simple story. It wasn't monumental in terms of art or story, but it was easy to digest and didn't overstay its welcome. I can agree with that. Okay, Demon Slayer is a nice, good concise story.
Mm-hmm.
It's little over 200 chapters. It's great. As an anime, Demon Slayer's biggest blessing has become its greatest curse. Arguably the most popular anime airing today, thanks to the Studio Ufotable's prestige animated thanks to Studio Ufotable's prestige animated adaptation, is trying to replicate past successes with visual spectacle at the cost of simplicity and effectiveness to the story.
Okay.
Bullshit.
Before we go on, I do want to state that the first paragraph. Can you scroll right back up real quick?
Sure.
So, first off, I don't like the entertaining Shonen Jump story with all the tropes you'd expect. The friendship being the ultimate power. First off, they don't even really call it friendship. It's literally two siblings and their relationship.
Well, I think they're also talking about Inosuke and Zenitsu.
Yeah, but even then, it's like, okay, these are people that are on the same thing.
It's more than them two.
Yeah,
I would say.
And
This one had him connecting with a Hashira and a prospective Hashira,
mm-hmm.
and just kind of showcasing that even with one of his biggest main character, I'd say rivals, but kind of a tension between the two, between him and his Swordsmith, is actually it's building relationships of friendship because Tanjiro is so nice.
Right.
I think that's what they're getting at with the shonen trope, because that's almost always the shonen trope. The main character is just too good, too nice, too kind to be hated.
True. I can go with that. As well as the naming your attacks, though. Like, dude, that's just a martial arts. Period. That's not a Shonen Jump trope.
Yeah, I mean, it's an anime thing in general. Like, it really is.
But calling out your attacks, naming them is one thing. Calling out your attacks,
see,
that is definitely an anime thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would accept that, except for one thing: the fact that a lot of the times when you're in martial arts, you are supposed to make a sound as you do a move. So if you think about it, actually naming the attack as you fight. I know it's ridiculous, but it does actually enhance how you focus on the move itself. And if you're talking about precision,
I've taken some martial arts classes, and not all martial arts require you to say something or do something or make a noise prior to executing a specific combination of.
They don't necessarily require it, but it's usually a known fact. Like if you say "ha" as you do a move, you're actually literally creating more force because your body is expelling the air.
Oh, okay. If that's what you mean, then okay.
Well, yeah, but that's also in demonstration. When you see them actually fighting, and if you watch like tournaments and fights and stuff like that, most of the time it's mostly silent except for the punches and kicks and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is they're no longer learning where their breath needs to be. They're no longer learning like muscle memory and stuff. They're actually fighting, and that's just a little bit different.
Okay.
But I see what you're saying, is that there is something that leads into their attacks that usually, like, while they're training, and what you see is usually like that he-ya, and it's an overhead,
Mm-hmm.
pa, or ka, and it's a mid, blow with a widened stance, it's these things that and you're equating that to them calling out their attacks. And
it's like a focus kind of thing. I mean, it's the same reason why some people speak backwards to use magic in comic books. It's like a focus technique rather than them actually, naming their attacks, because the attacks are literally already named. That's why they're called the techniques.
To go into Bleach here, their attacks are 10 times, or no, is it 10 or 100 times? I think it's 10 times more powerful if they actually call out the name of the attack, and they that's canon. That's in the
Really?
It's literally it's like a focus thing.
You'll have to tell me which chapter that is, because I don't remember reading that.
Yeah, it's literally like a focus thing.
So
it's also
I can't tell you the chapter, but I can tell you where it's brought up.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. Let's move on.
Yep.
Okay. All right. The first season made some effective adaptation choices, expanding on what the manga story barely hinted at, making very small making every small moment feel epic and hugely important. This culminated the global phenomenon of episode 19. This, with its dazzling use of color, fantastic action, choreography, and rather emotional charged song by Go Shina featuring Nami Nakagawa. In an attempt to deliver internet breaking moments like this all the time, the third season of Demon Slayer over relies on sweeping camera angles and lavish backgrounds by turning every small moment epic. Ufotable reduces the anime to a repetitive, boring drag. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, we had a word for this: filler, and it was considered the death of anime creativity. Okay, so yeah, I will say, as someone who's read the manga, Hinokami is expanded on in a great way in the anime. Um, I mean, so I don't know how much manga this guy reads. I would hope that he does read the manga to back up his words, his arguments. But I was reading the manga in conjunction with this season, and they were covering about 2 chapters per episode, which would allow them to, which, like, I don't know. Here's the thing. Basically, starting with Entertainment District, it's all nonstop. Like, it's nonstop action from start to finish. Starting with Entertainment District, starting with Mugen Train, it's just like the manga is very go 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 go. That's the reason why I was able to read 100 chapters in a day. When I was finishing the manga, I read 100 chapters in a day to finish the manga because I just couldn't put it down, because it was very fast paced, and it was very go 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 with some exposition, with a few exposition chapters throw in here and there. So I thought like it was really cool to expand on some of those action sequences, because sometimes it's necessary to do to show all of the moves that are happening within any given panel, or panels, in greater detail. Did I say that right? So I I had no problems with that, because to me it was them doing what the manga is trying to convey, if that makes any sense.
If I am understanding this clearly, it's kind of like the whole thing with bullet time. Is it necessary? No, but it looks cool, and you can actually see things that you wouldn't normally see unless you watched it again and again at like 10, like
Yeah,
negative 10 speed.
exactly. So okay, after a double-sized premiere episode that separated our kind-hearted protagonist Tanjiro from his annoyingly funny friends and sent him off to Craftsmanship Town. Oh God, this sounds so condescending. The rest of the season is essentially dedicated to a single overly long fight. I could argue that the Entertainment District is one long fight. It just feels separated because the fight starts with Daki, and that lasts a while. Then it shifts to Gyutaru, that lasts a while. Then it shifts to both of them, and then it ends. But that whole confrontation takes place in a single night, just like Swordsmith Village. Swordsmith Village takes place in a single night. Anyways, moving on. Well, unless you guys have any topics, like I'm like, I feel like I'm countering his points fairly decently.
No, to be honest, I kind of actually agree with you. I mean, I don't know what Jeremiah thinks, but is it one overly long fight?
So far, I've agreed with everything said. My thing is, I guess, being an older anime watcher, I would say this, that his statement about this being filler, it's like, this is a far stretch from filler,
It is.
and in
It
fact,
absolutely is.
it's every other episode felt like there was something very relevant to this story,
Mhm.
like quite relevant to this story. Like,
Actually,
Tanjiro
yeah.
gets a new sword that he's going to have to use, and it's going to be the strongest one he's ever used. Um, Tanjiro also learns a new ability that he's going to use. It's not just going to be referenced once or twice,
Right.
a whole different shift on Muzan's plan, There's so much, and spoilers, of course, for anyone who's watching right
Yeah,
now. We're
this is a
obviously talking
spoiler
about
discussion. Yeah.
but I mean, like, and Nezuko, like all these different changes that happened for the course of everyone in that, including
Mhm.
learning about two individuals that we have been wondering about who are going to be relevant here,
Oh yeah.
So it's like, where in this is filler? Are you
Yeah.
saying it's so I have an opinion. I'll wait till the end of it and I will state
Yeah.
my opinion of
Sh-
the author. So, but those are my feelings so far.
So okay. Granted, there is some stunning imagery in the face-off against the upper four and upper five, particularly the love Hashira's ribbon-like sword and Genya Shinazugawa blowing out heads with a demon-slaying gun. Ufotable continues to do great work, particularly in the effects, which turn even the most simple swing of the sword into pivotal moment of triumph. Um, but after 15 pivotal moments of triumph that lead nowhere, because the fight has to continue, some of the impact is lost. 90% of this season is dedicated to upper four and upper five, going back and forth between the two. The only stopping for repetitive flashbacks involving new side characters. There's still drama, but the story is not deep enough to support the formula of fights that reach a climax before revealing the villain is still alive and in a new form. Muzan, of course, Muzan's still alive. He hasn't been fought yet. Anyways, Tanjiro's story works. Tanjiro's story works. The manga proved it, but it does so because it moves on to the next thing quickly. To stretch things out without changing up the formula is to lose what makes Demon Slayer special.
But okay, I do have to comment on this one.
Okay, go ahead.
I think he did miss the point.
You did.
Tanjiro's story works. This is not Tanjiro's story.
No, it's not. It's
so
not.
That's where if his focus is the main character is Tanjiro, then he's completely missing the whole point of the season.
Yeah. This season was about Mitsuri and Muichiro.
Yeah, it was about the other
down.
characters.
And
it was about
down.
getting to know them, understanding how they think and how they work. And Tanjiro, his main thing is only at the end with Nezuko, in all honesty.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Jeremiah, do you have any thoughts on that?
Nope. Like absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. I will say they were correct on the 15 pivotal moments. No offense, but when fighting number 5, I'm guessing the guy who can split himself.
Yeah, that's number 4. That's number 4.
That's number 4.
That's
number
number
4.
4.
Like that got repetitive. He had that sword in that man's neck like about 10 times. It's like, how many times is it going to happen? I can get where that gets frustrating.
What's frustrating to me is like at the beginning of the series, it's established that if you decapitate a demon, then they're dead. The upper moons at the very least change that formula up significantly. So we always know that the first cutting of the head is never going to work. The second cutting of the head is never going to work. The third cutting of the head is never going to work. Usually the fourth does, but yeah, no, that is like really frustrating. It's like, then why do that over and over again if we know that it's never going to work the first time?
It is kind of interesting in that aspect. The only thing I can state on that is you're literally feeling what the characters are feeling at that moment, because that's literally the only thing that they do know, and it's new information to them. So
yeah,
there's really no expectation.
I will say that though, for how many it came down, it was annoying at first, But I think the only reason for me it was annoying is because especially when it got to the last form, I was like, okay, so the little guy's inside the body now,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, so that's what's going to. So at that point, when he comes, like, of course it's not going to work right now, And of course it's like, yeah, so where is it? Oh, it's inside him. I was like, yeah, it is. That would make the most sense. To be fair, when I first saw him in small form, I was like, why isn't he hiding in the body of Hatred? Was it the super powerful one that was fighting Love Hashira?
Was that hatred? I don't know. I
no,
can't remember.
that was oh shoot. It was like
I thought
disgust or
that was
something like that.
hatred.
Was it hatred?
I want to say it
Okay.
was hatred. But my thing is, so that one right there is like, I would have been like, as a small dude, I would have hid myself in the body of the dude, like.
Mm-hmm.
But it's my own thing. But my thing is like, that's the only part I'll kind of give you until like you really accept
Oh
the
my
fact of
gosh.
these guys are supposed to be the top 5 demons.
Right.
If
Yeah.
these guys were taken down this easily, then how the crap do they get to be the top 5 demons under a demon that has not been slain yet, who has not been found yet?
Right.
Against
Like,
multiple
come
demon
on now.
slayers.
Right. Okay.
Anyways,
Yeah, when it comes to the story, this season does have an interesting focus on art and craftsmanship. We spent 3 seasons exploring how demons see themselves as superior because their immortality prevents them from being forgotten at death, and allows them to create things that endure forever. We see this in one of the demons this season who is obsessed with art that will outlast all humans. But we also see this with the craftsman of the Swordsmith village, particularly Haganezga, and the way he considers his craft more important than his safety. Unfortunately, Demon Slayer drowns out the theme with more and more and more repetitive fight scenes. Likewise, our new replacements for Inosuke and Zenitsu, Genya, the Mist Hashiro, Muichiro Tokito, and Mitsuri Kanjuri, are all interesting characters with tragic backstories and cool personalities, and even cooler weapons and abilities. But when their flashbacks are awkwardly shoved into the middle of a never-ending fights, they end up feeling like a distraction rather than essential parts of the story. I don't know if I like I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Was there flashback? Are all flashbacks supposed to happen at the beginning of a season? I don't know, but like, I felt like, first of all, Muichiro's flashback, I felt like it was necessary for him to have that in that given moment, or else he may have not escaped the predicament that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that's at. For me, so I don't know, like, I don't know when a flashback is appropriate. Let's see. What was it? We're gonna get more of that. We're gonna get more flashbacks mid fights later on. Just a heads up.
that's that's the whole formula of Demon Slayer. If you watch the abridged, which I haven't watched the abridged
version.
yet,
There's abridged versions of
there
everything.
is.
There is an abridged version of everything, dude.
The abridged of this one is pretty good at one point because it went back to Tanjiro fighting against the spider dude, the spider clan or whatever, and he's fighting the main guy, and he's like, well, we've hit like the what was it? We've hit the 3 episode mark of this battle, which means you have to die now. And he goes, okay, but you're gonna have to listen to my tragic backstory in a flashback. He's like, fine. And so as they're like fighting, it's like, you have to know that no one loved me when I was a child because I had. And he starts giving this off, and they even make fun of it in the abridged. Like, that would have been really nice if you would have told that story before we got into the epic, like, heated fight right now. I feel it would have been more impactful for the overall fight. And then he goes to Nezuko going, like it's just this whole, like, everyone has to talk, but that's Demon Slayer. That has not been Demon Slayer.
I'm actually trying to think about it, and no, even from the very beginning, that's how it was. When he was training to learn water style, you're getting flashbacks about the other students. You're getting flashbacks about Tanjiro's life. Like, no, that's literally Demon Slayer. It's getting flashbacks while they're fighting, kind of thing.
So Devino in the chat says, I'm tired of that, man. Why does like almost every demon have to try to be sympathetic? They're evil. They eat kids. Well, I found with upper 4 and upper 5, I don't think they don't talk about their past that much. We're talking more about the Hashira flashbacks right now.
No. We're talking about the demons. So, like, there's flashbacks everywhere, Devin, and I'm actually Devin. So, Devin, I want to note something. Was it Gyataro? Was that the upper
Oh,
six?
yeah, that was upper six.
Yeah,
No,
that was definitely not a tragic backstory necessarily. Like he had a bad, like, I guess he was born into some crap, but he made the most of it. But they just didn't learn well. But even knowing that, and he still knew his past, even as Gyataro, as the demon, that guy was still committing crimes. So at the end of it, there was no, oh, I'm about to be like redeemed. I always loved the fact that he was like, nah, I know where I'm going, you know?
yeah, that was always
And
pretty cool.
I will also say for the upper five, the artist, if you noticed, we didn't get his backstory at all.
No, we
Mhm.
didn't. We did get
We
upper
didn't get
four though.
any backstory.
We
It's like,
did get
oh,
upper
screw that
four.
guy, you know?
But okay, so but here's the thing: Muichiro's backstory it is important because it is stated that he is a direct descendant of
So,
Yorichi, uh, Yorichi and Kokushibo, who are twins. Spoiler alert. I mean, it's implied. You can see it in their facial expressions, in like their looks. But like he is a descendant of those two, who are considered to be the first demon slayers. Um, it's not just that the fights are overly long and repetitive. Demon Slayer kills all momentum by explaining the obvious to the audience. As a character, Tanjiro is best during slower moments when his calmness and gentleness in a world of incredibly intense warriors makes him the comic relief. It's frustrating to see the show replicate that during fight scenes, which fails to properly portray Tanjiro's kindness. From the beginning, Tanjiro was special among the other slayers because the deep empathy he felt towards the demons despite the atrocities they commit. By now, however, it is clear the show is all talk and no action. What? Okay.
Okay.
This version of Tanjiro may shed the occasional tear for his victims, but he doesn't do anything other than chop heads with
Okay.
gusto.
I'm trying to read that paragraph over and over again. Kills all momentum by explaining. Okay, he explains to the audience the obvious, obviously. Solar moments. Da da da. He's most calm. Okay, but the whole point right now is Tanjiro is dealing with that battle within himself. That's kind of the point right now is he literally had to give up his sister, and he couldn't even do that. He is literally battling himself right now.
Mm-hmm.
So he is not thinking about empathy or anything. He is thinking about the thousands of people that are literally within the town that are being killed at the moment.
Right.
And trying to get things done. It's kind of like the whole Batman argument. Does Batman kill? No. But in Batman Returns, when he puts somebody on fire with his jet booster, is that wrong? No. Because if a bunch of clowns are attacking the town, he doesn't care who's going to get hurt. He's not going to get out of the Batmobile to punch a clown out to get back in the Batmobile and go somewhere else. No, light the fucker on fire.
Let's finish up this article real quick. Okay. Verdict. Demon Slayer season 3 has some spectacular moments that continue to show Ufotable's ability to make every frame pop with color and gravitas, and the story moves forward significantly, especially when it comes to Nezuko, who finally becomes a character this time around.
Excuse me, Nezuko was always a goddamn character, you piece of... Sorry.
Okay. For the most part, though, it feels like too little too late. After the Mugen Train's movie's success in translating a short story arc into a single feature rather than multiple episodes, which they ended up doing, and that was atrocious, season 3 feels like a step backwards, stretching a short arc into a bloated and dull season that overstated its welcome. It is not, by any means, a short arc. It is not. Let me hang on. Sit tight. Let's figure this out.
What is a normal arc?
So Devin, I was just reading your. If you're still here, I was reading this almost every. You're right, almost every, and that is. I'm glad that he's at least not making friends with them. I'm down with some redemption.
Okay. I have manga.
He does show compassion, yeah. I really do I really do like that they're not trying to just redeem it and suddenly demons are friends, at least. We don't need another Naruto slash Bleach. I love both, but we don't need some talk no jutsu. Why are we killing the demons? Why don't we just save them instead? It's like, no, these people are demon for a reason, you know? They've definitely given into these darker desires, if you will, even if Muzan's the one who forced it upon them. It's like the best thing you could do is lop their heads off. Tanjiro is the most feeling for them, and he is trying to show respect to them, and I think that's really cool that he's the only one, if that would make sense. It's like everyone else is just like, just kill them. They need to die. Kill them
Well,
now. And he's at least like, even in their deaths, like he tries to show respect to them. It's like I at least appreciate that from my perspective. But I do agree. It's like, yeah, but I really liked that the upper fifth here didn't have a backstory, for instance, and that when we saw the backstory of the upper fourth, we were like, oh yeah, no, he's a piece of shit then too. You know, like he was a liar and he stole stuff. You know, and he, became a demon and did his thing. You know, I've actually really liked that. Even in the entertainment district too, I really liked that as well. Where it's like, well, there's not really any redemption here. This guy was more than willing to kill anybody, beforehand. So,
I'll
but
go ahead
Tanjiro
and
is literally the only ray of hope in an otherwise battle scarred or war scarred like people, and I think it's really cool personally.
I will definitely go ahead and add on. And it's the fact that he does show compassion because that is who he is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can't show compassion to one demon and then just go and rip off another demon's head without having any kind of mental or emotional trauma due to that.
Okay.
No.
Entertainment District covered 3 volumes. Volumes 9, 10, and 11. Okay.
Wow.
All right. So, that was 12 episodes. Entertainment District is, or not Entertainment District, but Swordsmith Village is
While you're looking through that, I will state to Devin that we don't really know if people who get their heads cut off can feel it or not. But even in multiple other media, taking off the head without giving the person pain is actually relevant. I mean, it's the same thing in Hell's Paradise. That's the main focus of the executioner, is to be able to take a person's head off without having them feel pain. And that's for
That was such a
criminals.
cool aspect of that anime too. But I'm sorry, I'm just cutting it. I really liked that at the beginning.
and Entertainment District, Swordsmith Village is 3.5 volumes. It's longer. The review, this guy who wrote this article just proved that he like paid very little attention to what's going on in the manga, because that is 3.5 volumes compared to the 3 volumes of entertainment issues. So they're roughly the same length. They're roughly the same length. Maybe one, one is a little bit longer than the other, but like to say that it's a short arc is so disingenuous, and like it like I shouldn't be
It
as
definitely
frustrated.
felt like a short arc, because I like my whole thing was like, honestly, to me, I was like, man, we're moving and grooving in this. It's like I felt like they killed the artist demon pretty quickly. Personally, he came in, did a couple of things, but ultimately got tromped. As soon as oh gosh, always what's his name? As soon as the mist Hashira like got into his groove, it's like, oh yeah, he's
Muichiro, yeah.
Muichiro. Yeah, like there was no like there was nothing for that dude. It's like, Also, I feel okay. So I told you, like, my personal opinion. The reviewer is still salty about the movie mistake, about the movie miscommunication. He sounds like someone who was like, "Oh man, Swordsmith Village movie, let's go watch it, hot dang!" And then he was like, "What? This was just episodes." It's like, well, that's all they said it was.
Hey,
Like I
don't
feel
poke
like
fun at
he's still
us, okay?
salty.
To be
I feel
honest,
like that reviewer is still salty about that. Like he's
to
probably
be,
one of the many people who believed they were getting a movie when it was just 3 episodes.
I have no clue who you're talking about right now. No, to be honest, I do actually agree with Jeremiah on that point. Like, he does seem salty, and even if you think about it in a sense where, okay, he's annoyed because the action kept getting jostled, where there was fake deaths and stuff like that, where they cut the head off. I'm sorry, but when they were fighting the spider dude, wasn't that also a whole thing where they thought that they were killing them, but they actually weren't, and so they had to keep traveling, and people kept getting the shit knocked out of them.
Mhm.
Hang on, what?
When they were fighting the spider demon,
Okay, yeah.
wasn't there multiple times where they thought that they were getting him, they didn't get him, and they had to continue on the fight, but they had to move it somewhere else, and something else happened
Because he had so many different people on the field that they didn't know which demon was the upper rank. Is that what you're saying?
exactly.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's basically the exact same thing.
Okay.
So it's like, no, this is commonly happens.
So
Also, if it's
go ahead.
Shonen Jump, what are they expecting? What do they expect in arc? Because when you tell me Shonen Jump, I'm thinking about things like Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Naruto, which those have literal like 24 episode arcs kind of thing.
Right.
And you have told me that you get annoyed by that.
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, so those shows are the definition of padding for time. Like, but for me, Demon Slayer has never felt that way. I've never felt like the show was padding for time. Not once. The only thing that I ever felt like maybe it might have been padding for time is like maybe like well, let's see here. I don't know when the anime started versus how far into the manga like it was like, but like the manga's completed now. The manga's over. Like it's been over for like 2.5-3 years. So they have no reason to pad for time anymore. If anything, they could just plow through the rest of the series, which I really think that they should do, because the rest of the story that's about to come up, I can't think of any good suitable place that would where they could like split the season into like, it's just like they're going to get to 12 or 13 episodes mid fight and then be like end of season. It's like they need to just finish it. Anyways, so let's see here. Devino says Shonen has definitely gotten faster than it used to be. Guys, Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover, My Hero Academia, they're pretty quick pacing wise. It's definitely different from when I was a kid in the late 90s. Yeah, so I'm new to the world of manga and anime for sure. I've been into it like heavily for like the past 2 years, like any poser in the COVID-19 era would be. But like, yeah, I mean, I definitely prefer the stories that end. I like it's like you don't need to keep drawing it out for like the sake of like. So like I'm happy that My Hero Academia is coming to an end. I'm happy that Black Clover is coming to an end. From what I can tell where the manga's at, it sounds like Jujutsu Kaisen is nearing its end game. And all of these manga will end before maybe around chapter 400 or so. I think actually Jujutsu Kaisen might be closer to like around 300, maybe a little over 300. Black Clover will definitely end in the 400s. But I do appreciate a good, concise story that doesn't require the anime to be filled with filler. And speaking of Black Clover, that's an issue that Black Clover has, or that's an issue with Studio that's a Studio Peria issue.
I kind of was going to bring that up because I don't want to give a hot take or anything, but like
it's just that like, studio.
No, Black Clover is not fast paced. Is it faster paced than like Dragon Ball Z and all that? yes, but it's still a really long show. Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero Academia, great. I love that. Black Clover, no, that is not a fast-paced anime.
So here's the problem with Black Clover. Black Clover maintained like a fairly like maybe a 1-to-2 comparison between the anime and the manga up until post Elves. And then after that, Studio Period got a little ahead of themselves. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but Studio Period got a little ahead of themselves and started adding in a bunch of filler. Now, I'll admit, I actually liked the filler for Black Clover, but they finally had to end it. They finally had to end the anime because when the anime ended, it was like 20 chapters away from catching up to the manga. It was really close. So they had to end it.
So you're telling me that Black Clover literally did the same thing that Bleach and Naruto and One Piece did? They tried to do fillers for it.
Okay, not to the extreme that those did. Not to the extreme that those did. So Naruto literally, like at the end of Naruto before Shippuden, that's literally 100 episodes of filler. It's 100 episodes of filler, dude. I skipped it all and I went straight to Shippuden. Right, Jeremiah? Like it's like,
yep.
And then
I agree with you on that.
But like Black Clover has like one major Black Clover has one major arc, which is like the devil cultist arc. That's like maybe 6 episodes or so. And then there's like
Devil
a bunch of like
I think
the devil what now?
Devil Banishers,
That's right, the Devil Banishers. And then it had like a bunch of random funny episodes, like with them going to like the nun's birthday and going back to the hot springs and things like that. The what is it called? The captain's battle. That's all filler. But then they had, because like they were trying to see where the manga goes, but then it had to end anyways. But Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, they're all notorious for just constant filler. Whereas anyways, back to Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer does not, like, this guy's like, this is filler. It's like literally none of that is filler. That is all in the manga. Maybe it's expanded just a tiny bit to like to bring out the fight a little bit more. But like to say that was like a filler arc, or things within that arc were filler, is just like, dude, did we read the same manga? Did you read it at all? Now I have a bit of a bias towards the Swordsmith Village arc. I love the Swordsmith Village arc because Muichiro is my favorite Hashira. I like his background. I think his character is really interesting. The dude is a 14-year-old yoked kid. Did you see that 6-pack? But like but like
grind meat on those, like,
but the thing is, like, and then of course his character is even more interesting because he's a descendant of the first Demon Slayers. He's a descendant of Sunbreathers, which is like a really cool thing. And it you know, mild spoiler, it will be brought up again.
No.
So it's just like it like, I don't know. So I do have a bias. Maybe like I can't see past it and see what's wrong with it. But like I don't know. I've always felt like Demon Slayer is like, it's fairly perfect in keeping things going at a good pace, both in manga and in anime. If anything, like, it always bums me out when it's over because it's like, that means I'm gonna have to wait another year.
Honestly, I will take Demon Slayer and them doing flashbacks in the middle of fights to explain characters and stuff like that over Dragon Ball Z and literally hearing 2 characters talk about what they were planning on doing.
Or screaming for 3 episodes.
Exactly.
Wow.
Or but hey, I will say this. Dragon Ball Z has one of the best filler arcs in any anime ever.
Oh, don't bring up Garlic Jr. right now.
I'm bringing up Garlic Jr. right now. Garlic Jr. is an incredible filler arc. Are you kidding me? Garlic. Do you remember New Year's Evil? Do you remember New Year's Evil on Toonami?
I prefer the DBZ abridged version of the Garlic Jr. arc.
Everybody prefers the DBZ bridged version of all of DBZ, and I think that's atrocious. DBZ is a masterpiece. Okay. Jeremiah, did you ever state what your like your opinions were? Like what like Jeremiah, did we lose your mind?
No. Of this, one, I really do feel that he is still salty. Or this
That's
person,
right.
I don't know if it's he or she. I think they are absolutely salty. They went to go watch this in theaters. They're like, this wasn't a movie. This was literally 3 episodes. And they went on there and saw that Ufotable did say, here's the 3 episodes. Like, ooh, I'm going to get back at you. I think it's funny because the things that I had issues with this arc weren't the same as this person. Not to say it wasn't a great art. I think it was fantastic. I feel like there were parts that just couldn't be impactful simply because of the pacing. You know, for instance, whenever the Love Hashira starts her fight, like it's pretty quick one and done. She comes in, does her thing, gets one shot jacked in the jaw, with one blast, and then suddenly she's just going to hold off this giant Hydra the rest of the time. So she felt more like a plot device, and I feel like if we would have seen more of her fight and less of her at the end, like, oh, can't do it anymore, I would have been a little more invested into her fight,
Yeah, it's
But the other one was...
Sorry, so I think
No.
what I like about Mitsuri is that her backstory isn't really all that tragic. Like she just wants to be somewhere where she can eat a lot of food and just be around people who are okay with it.
She's the only person that's actually true to herself
and be recognized as her.
Like and I forgot what I forgot what the snake Hashira or the serpent Hashira his name is, but like don't you they're just like those two are just too pure for this world, even though he's a dick. I mean, he gives her socks and she just loves it, and I don't know, but it's like she's like I don't find her backstory to be super tragic. Yeah, it's a bummer that she can't be accepted because she likes to eat, but like at the end of the day, she went somewhere where she could go and just stuff face and there's a dude who will just be totally okay with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she was being overlooked for who she was. I did like that, and I wish we could have. I guess it was really quick about that. I guess really quick, but like really quick on just bringing that in. I do like the fact that it wasn't this horribly tragic thing, and more of a this is kind of what I fight with being a strong woman and being a very strong fighter. It's like I want to be recognized as a woman, obviously, but because that's what I am. But I'm also this strong, rambunctious fighter. Why can't I be both? And I really like that she's found home with that.
Right.
But it's like what they were trying to convey, of course, is that she will do anything to protect her space. This is her home. But my thing is that gets lost in the fact of we got like 2 minutes of that, and then she's fighting, and it's just her swinging. It's like,
sure.
I feel like they spent a lot more time fleshing out because it noted that, like, but I'm not being myself. Then suddenly she's just in the Hashira. It's like I would have loved to see how she was discovered, how she finally broke out of that, how she was like maybe that turmoil in between of I can't keep playing this life, but I've got to find somewhere, and I feel like we gave a lot more time to the Miss Hashira, because I'm not going to try with the names. But my thing is, it's not bad. It's just more of that sucks. I would have loved to see the bridge between her pretending, like dyeing her hair, pretending to be this perfect female for that one dude, to her being discovered, training, her coming out of her shell with the Hashira, not just automatically out of her shell. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Like what really cements that this is her family, not just the fact of, hey, now we're here and we're good.
Sure.
The last thing was Nezuko's kick on Tanjiro to keep going is nullified just as quickly Like it was the same amount of time of Tanjiro spending 4 minutes trying to figure out what he needs to do as it was for us to figure out she was still alive. Does that make sense? It's like, man, like that could have been like a huge cliffhanger, then find out she's alive, or that could have been a
Well,
next episode thing.
yeah. So
And
Demon Slayer has a denouement problem in their season finales, like
mhm.
and they like, in all honesty, the season, like, I mean, they probably could have, I don't know what they like, I mean, what was it? Was it a 12 episode season or was it an 11 episode season? I can't remember, but it definitely could have benefited from one more episode where they talk about it a little bit more and you see them recovering. Um, yeah, we're not going to get that until next season, which is problematic. Which I do think is a little frustrating because I think that we definitely could have benefited from seeing a little bit more. Now, here's the thing. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I went back and I double checked everything. The manga does not explicitly state what caused Nezuko to be immune to the sun. There is a lot of speculation online as to what it could be. The first speculation would be that sun breathing is entrenched in the Tanjiro bloodline, or in the Kamado bloodline, so that is protecting her. The other explanations are that she has spent so much time not consuming human flesh and getting recovery in other ways, that she has retained her humanity and therefore can exist in the sunlight. Those are like the explanation. I prefer the explanation. I prefer the theory that it's related to sun breathing and being a part of, like, basically being ingrained in Kamado DNA. But both sound reasonable. However, it's never explicitly stated as to why she is immune. So there's that. But they do, there is a bit more there's a bit more conversations about, like, of course, minor spoiler, you get to see Zenitsu's reaction in the coming chapters.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be wonderful.
As to,
bro, how's he? Oh my god.
So
sorry,
it's things,
yeah.
It's things like that. So that is like, hey, we should have had more time with Nezuko being able to be in the sun and letting that sink in. But
I'm less interested in his reaction to Nezuko, and more interested in his reaction to Tanjiro stealing his thunder.
Oh, I don't know if that ever gets brought up again, but yeah, that was pretty cool. So
that was dope.
Yeah,
that was really good.
Do you guys have so we're nearing an hour here. Do you guys have any final thoughts on the season? Nezuko being able to be out in the sun, like what are your final thoughts on season 3? Casey?
I really enjoyed it. I was not expecting the whole Nezuko being in the sun and being okay thing to happen. I liked that they did kind of take their time with this season in a way where it's like, no, it did happen within a night and a lot of things happened, but you're given a lot of information for later on.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to see how everything's going to connect, because they're definitely going to connect.
Yeah.
I and like
go ahead, Jeremiah.
I was like, just to pull, like, everything to me already feels connected. Everything to me feels like it's been going the right pacing to the right places. I think that the way that this one ended with the upper fourth and upper fifth dying the way they did with no casualty really, except for, of course, the bystanders. Like,
They're
well,
just
you know,
bystanders.
like they are. I mean, definitely we lost a few people, you know,
Yeah.
but no one notable. That's been the progression so far going up this chain from the Mugen train on. Really from the start, when the trio fought against Spider Dude and the family, you know, it's like they barely won that. In fact, they really kind of didn't because they were all dying or almost dead, you know.
Mm-hmm.
To they did pretty good on the train, but we still lost heavily, you know. It was 1-for-1. To
Mm-hmm.
we did overcome it, but we were heavily damaged. No loss, thankfully, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but heavily damaged. To yeah, we're actually standing our like. I love the progression of
Well,
this.
don't
You know,
worry. Don't worry. Infinity Castle is coming.
I can't wait. Yeah, anybody who says this isn't at least a 7 out of 10 because of the first
Well,
episode and showcasing what has to be the most artistically beautiful, aesthetically beautiful depiction of an otherwise aloof and strange place to be, another dimension, if you will. Like
mm-hmm.
that is fantastic.
So
And
okay.
ah,
Let's talk about that for a second because I don't know if we've really talked about when we all went and saw that in theaters, but I was really looking forward to the upper rank meeting and how they were going to
mhm.
depict the Infinity Castle. And Infinity Castle is never shown in the manga. Infinity Castle is never shown in its grandiose state. As a matter of fact, it doesn't always quite feel like they're in something that would be called infinity, except for I mean, you get glimpses of it in other places, such as like the lower six meeting that was happened at the end of season 1. But Infinity Castle was one of the most impressive. Was like that was such a, like that blew me away. That like Ufotable took created that depiction of it. And I was like, yes, this is what an Infinity Castle should look like. And I hope that they do more of that when the Infinity Castle arc comes. Um so I'm super stoked for Infinity Castle arc.
Me
But
too, man. Me too.
um so I kind of interrupted you. Did you get your final
No,
thoughts
no,
in?
no. That was it. Like my thing is for anyone who's going to give it less than that after getting something so beautiful in
Mm-hmm.
an anime that goes for aesthetics first. Like, come on now,
Yeah.
it's great. Yeah.
So to wrap things up, Demon Slayer has 3 arcs left. Okay?
Oh,
Demon Slayer has Hashira training arc, which is about 10 chapters long. Infinity Castle arc is a bulk of what remains, and Sunrise Countdown is the end. So I am excited to see they have officially announced Hashira training. However, they have not announced how they're going to handle Hashira training. Hashira training is 10 chapters long. It's not very long. And then boom, we're in the final encounter. Um
they'll
and
just do a movie of the fight and then
I
3 episodes.
I how did I so let me I'll try to be as
Not
spoiler free
not a
as
movie, Casey. They're going to showcase 2 episodes and a bonus Hashira training art.
so I laid out. Let's see. Did I keep it or did I get rid of this explanation of what I was thinking? Um, let me see if I can dig it up here. So, okay, so this is what I said. Um, Hashira training arc should be a 2-hour special event in between seasons with a cliffhanger, which would begin Infinity Castle arc. The arc is about 7 to 10 chapters long, depending on where you start and finish it. So I already know what chapter it's going to start on. It's just going to start on, but it's about how they're going to finish it. And then my prediction was this is my hopes. This is what I would hope that they would do. Infinity Castle will be the bulk of the final season, which should be 2 cores, since there's no logical stopping point for a single core. Sunrise Countdown should be this insane finale special at the end of the season, and it'll include the epilogue because there's a nice good epilogue. So like I could see them, because Infinity Castle is incredibly fast paced, and now we're getting a little bit off topic and talking about the future. I could honestly see them pulling off the remainder of Demon Slayer, so long as they give Hashira training its own independent special. I can see a good solid 24 episode final season of Demon Slayer that would be Infinity Castle and Sunrise Countdown. So with that being said, let's wrap things up. This went a little bit longer than I initially wanted to. My goal is to every Saturday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to have an hour-long conversation about whatever our topic is. We discuss anime and video games and whatever the hell else we just decide to talk about. So I don't know if anybody's still here, but Devino, thanks for coming by. Wonder Souls, thanks for coming by. Really appreciate it. Jeremiah, where can we find you?
Gentlemen, thank you. We are Dude Let's Chat. We talk games, movies, and all things in between. You can find us at Dude Let's Chat on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and of course any of your podcasting platforms. Look forward to our Wheel of Game Pass, which Brent has so graciously joined as well. We're pretty excited for that this month. Casey, we're going to see if you want to get into it as well at one point. Just the Wheel of Game Pass. It's a really fun thing. It's very fun. But so that's where you can find us. So thank you for having me.
Always, you're welcome anytime. Casey, where can they find us?
You can find us right here if you're watching us on YouTube at Work in Progress SLO. That's SLO all spelled out. And just enjoy us. We're going to be starting back up here, and who knows, you might be seeing a couple of new features coming out.
Yeah, we're gonna do our best to kind of keep things consistent. At least one show every week, Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I keep repeating that. If we do a special episode during the week, we're always going to put a notice out on the YouTube channel at least 24 hours in advance. So if we come up with a topic, it's got to be like, oh, well, we're going to schedule that for tomorrow. So that way I have an appropriate amount of time to properly prepare and advertise for it. Also, starting here, I think in a couple of days. Wait, like we're gonna start collabing on our weekly anime conversations.
Yeah,
Dude, Let's Chat is going to be hosting Bleach: 1,000-Year Blood War. That starts
second core, baby.
Second core.
Oh,
it's gonna be glorious.
But y'all grabbed a good one too.
And we over. Oh Jesus.
Wow, somebody's popular.
Yeah, someone's like popping up. And we over at here at Work in Progress, we are going to be covering Rurouni Kenshin, which is something that I'm super stoked to do. I stole that from Jeremiah.
Just like we stole Jeremiah from Dude Let's Chat.
Exactly. We bought him. Just like how they bought us. And
bro, I'm looking forward to this. And I love our anime collabs, guys. Seriously. Yeah, I mean, don't take our word for it. Come into it. Come watch some of those videos and tell us how much we're wrong. I'm down with it, you know?
The only problem is we don't know where it has yet to be announced where Rurouni Kenshin is going to be streaming. It does sound like it's being distributed through Aniplex, which is most likely Crunchyroll. If it was Viz, it probably would be Hulu, but I think it's gonna be Crunchyroll, and I think that they're gonna announce it at Anime Expo here on the 3rd. So
yeah, because that's going on right now, huh?
That is going on.
Yep.
And I'll keep an eye out for that, and I will let everybody know where it's going to be streaming. Anyways, once again, Jeremiah, you can find Jeremiah at Dude Let's Chat. You can find Casey and I here at workinprogress.slo. and we will see you all next Saturday. We have a few topics in mind, but we will lock that down this week. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Be happy,
Peace, peace.
humans.